Okay, so let's define the templates. So first of all, we will define the feature templates so that we can call these templates uh, from the device templates. Okay, so by default, guys, there are some default configurations, right? For VPN 0, for VPN 512, and I do not want to push those default configuration to the devices which I have right now on the V edges, because it won't have all the configurations which I already have on V edges, right? For example, I have defined the NTP server in my VHs, and that's why they are synchronized with the time, and that's why they are getting the proper control connections. So what I will do is I will define the template and interface configuration just like we have right now in our VHs for VPN 0 and for VPN 512. But for VPN 10, we need to define uh, a new interface also, because we do not have VPN 10 already configured on this device. So if I show you right now uh, on one of the VHs, right, we have configuration for VPN 0, and yes, we have a dedicated interface. We have defined everything, whatever it needs to be there, and it is VH2, VH1. Yes, correct. So, and I have the VPN configuration defined for 512 also. I haven't defined the VPN configuration for my corporate VPN, which I'm going to define through templates, right? As you can see, we haven't have any VPN 10. If I show you the system configuration also, show running config system, you could see that I have defined everything, whatever it needs to be there, like host name, system IP, and site. Now what I want to do is, instead of pushing default templates for system, for VPN 0, for VPN 512, I really want to create those configurations just like what we have right now, right? But for VPN 10, I need to define templates. And instead of doing the default templates, I want to define the templates for everything. So let's go to vmanage, and we are on device template, we are on feature template. So let's begin with defining the features first, and then we will call those features into device templates. Okay, so at template, choose your system, for example VH Cloud, and here on the right hand side you will see the templates which are compatible with VH Cloud, right? So if you select two uh, uh, templates or three templates, then basically you will result into something which is not compatible at all with all these three devices, right? So if you select VH Cloud, you will see the templates which are compatible with this platform, which is VH Cloud. First of all, I need to define my VPN interfaces, right? So I'm going to define VPN interfaces for three different VPNs. VPN 10, which is going to be my corporate VPN at the service side. VPN 0, which is already configured as my transport, and then VPN 512. As I do not want to upload the factory default templates, that's why I'm again defining templates for VPN 0 and 512. So let's begin with defining with VPN 0, VPN 0 interface, right? As description field is mandatory, we need to define this also. I just copied paste the same. I do not want this interface to be shut down, so I am doing this as a global parameter and choosing no. Interface name is going to be, we can see it here. For VPN 0, the interface is GE0/0, right? So select here GE0/ and we write extra 0 here. So this is gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and the description is going to be here as this is internet transport, right? I would choose to have everything on small case. Internet transport. Very good. I need to define IP address, and I'm not choosing dynamic because I do not have any DHCP configured there in my topology, right? So let's choose a static. Let's define it as a device specific parameter, and that's why I have chosen device specific, and this is for VPN 0, and I specifically mention here VPN 0 so that I can be easily I can easily identify when I need to provide value for all these variables. Okay, so this is VPN 0 interface IPv4 address. This is correct. Now DHCP helper I do not need. You want this interface is tunnel. Of course, this is going to be my tunnel interface. VPN 0 gigabit 0/0. This is going to be my tunnel interface. So let's do a global on this and make the tunnel setting on. Okay. Once you do that, it will ask for other parameters like colors, and I know that I have defined the color value here as biz internet. This is correct. I do not want to restrict my uh, tunnel configuration, so let's not restrict it. Everything else is going to be uh, default. Now allowing service, I want to allow everything on it for to begin with, but in actual production you do not want to do it. Let's see. I want to define NTP as a global parameter and should be on. Netconf should be on, and SSH, let's make it on to begin with. Okay, this is good. This is good. I do not want to define VRRP. All is good. Let's save the configuration. So we have VPN 0 interface. Let's define an interface for VPN 512 also. Again, the process is going to be same. VH Cloud. Now a VPN interface Ethernet, right? And this is my VPN 512 interface. This is cool. Control C, Control V. I do not want to shut it down, so I'm making global parameter, no shutdown, interface name. Yes. For VPN 512, I should choose Ethernet 0/0 is going to be my management VPN, and description. Let's give it a description. Management interface. Of course, I want to give it the static IP address, and this is going to be device specific, but I am choosing it VPN 512 so that I can identify it later. DHCP helper is okay. I do not, and this interface is not going to be tunnel interface, right? Because this is just the VPN 512 interface, right? Everything else should be default. Okay, so let's save it. This is good once again, and let's do the same for VPN 10, which is my new VPN, which I haven't defined till yet. So VH Cloud VPN interface, and this is going to be for my VPN 10, right? VPN 10 interface. Copy paste here. I do not want to shut down. Interface name is going to be, let's see the Eve topology. So this is the service side VPN I was talking about. So let's make gigabit 0/1 as part of this VPN. So GE 0/1 is the interface, and the description I'm going to give it as service side interface. Correct? Static IP address, it should be device specific, and I should mention here that it is for VPN 10. This is good. It is not going to be tunnel interface for sure, and we know the reason for this. Let's save the configuration. Here you go. We have three interfaces configured now: VPN 0, VPN 10, and 512. Now, let's define the VPN itself, right? So add template again for our device, which is VH Cloud. Let's define a configuration for VPN. Here you go. And then this is VPN 0 definition. VPN 0 definition, copy, paste. This is VPN 0 name. Let's give it a name. Let's give it a global name. It's a transport VPN 0. I do not want to configure other parameter. That is fine. DNS is not there in my environment. Advertise OMP and yes. But in VPN 0, I do not want to advertise anything because it is not for VPN 0. So this is okay. Do I need to define an IPv4 route? And of course I need to define an IPv4 route here. So prefix is going to be, it is global, and the prefix is 0.0.0/0. But the next hop, add next hop, and I am going to give it a device specific, right? And I will write it here, device specific VPN 0 next hop IP address, because it is going to be device specific, right? If you are at site 100, then your default gateway is going to be, if you see here, then your default gateway is going to be 8.1.1.1. If you are at site 2 VH1, your default gateway is going to be 8.1.2.1, right? So this is good. I would say add one next hop, and I would say add here. This is defined. This is good. So let's save this configuration. Okay, so VPN 0 interface configuration is done. Let's do VPN 0 definition is done. Now let's do the definition for VPN 512. Add again the same thing, VH Cloud, then VPN 512. Definition, Control C, Control V, and we have this thing as 512. Name, this is my management VPN, and that's okay. I don't define IPv4 route also. That's fine because this is okay. Save. Then I need to do the same thing for VPN 10. So add template, VPN 10, right? So this is VPN 10 definition. There you go. VPN, just write down VPN 10, name is global, and this is my service side VPN. I do not want to define the OMPs here. No, I want to define because I want to send the static and connected of this guy towards the in OMP updates. So that's why I am just selecting static and connected here. And then I do not have any IPv4 route because everything is in layer 1, layer 2 domain. So if you see, this is the layer 2 device inside 100, same inside 200. So I do not define any default route here for VPN 10. So this is good. Service side VPN, all is good. No, not necessary to define this, not going to be correct. Save it. So we have defined all these things with respect to VPN and interfaces. Now add one more template for NTP, right? So VH Cloud, let's see, do we have NTP configuration? Yes, we have. So let's see, I need to call it on each and every device, right? NTP default, because I have only one NTP configured in the system, so it is worthwhile to define it here. And the IP address of the device is 9.9.9.1, which is the default gateway for all of my controllers also. This is okay. Everything else is okay. Save. So I have defined NTP also. This is good. This is cool. So one more thing, I need to define a system template also, right? So VH Cloud, and we have the system here. Where is the system? Here is the system. Okay, so Internet Edge system template. Control C, Control V. Site ID, I would choose it to be global, sorry, device specific. And system IP, again device specific. Time zone, I would say global. And it is going to be Asia Kolkata. Okay. So let's select Asia Kolkata. Yes, host name again, it's device specific. This is good. All is good. And I need to choose this also. Let's make it to maximum console baud rate. This is fine. And let's do the save. Yes, so we have defined almost every feature template which we wanted to define, and let's call all those in a device template. Let's create a device template again from feature. You can create it from CLI also, but we have defined feature templates, so let's configure it first from feature templates. So this is the device template for all of my edges, all of my internet edges, right? Internet v edges device template. Okay. Control C, Control V, and then I need to choose. So here, guys, what I'm changing is from the factory default to whatever the system templates we have defined, right? Logging is fine. Add NTP here, choose NTP default, which I have already configured. Then AAA I do not need to configure. Then VPN 0 should be VPN 0 definition, whatever we have given. Add a VPN interface, and here you will see VPN 0 interface. In VPN 512 also VPN 512 definition which we have defined. Adding here the interface for VPN 512. Now we need to add the service VPN which is our VPN 10. So add VPN. So here is the VPN 10 definition you have. Next, add VPN interface into it, and we have VPN 10 interface also. Add. So yes, I do not have any banner policy. That is fine. This is good. So we have defined the system template also. Sorry, the device template also. Let's create it. This is good. So now the time is to attach these templates. So attach devices, I can attach it to both of the devices, but let's begin with the first one. First of our site 1 VH1. So you can see all of your VHs or the devices which needs configuration here, right? Where you can define the configuration. So attach. Let's see what is the next step. So you can see here, it is asking for the values, right? And it should be. So for IPv4 address at VPN 10 interface, if I go to the EVNG topology, it should be the default gateway for this laptop. So this should be 10.1.1.1 gigabit 0/1, right? So here it should be 10.1.1.1/24. This is good. Now let's go to VPN 512. It is 10.29.203.10/24. Any IP address you can give here, whatever with respect to your addressing scheme. Address VPN 0, which we need to check. So 8.1.1.1 is the internet site configuration, and we need to get 8.1.1.2 here, right? So here it should be 8.1.1.2. Okay, now let's move towards right, and it is asking IPv4 address VPN 0 interface IPv4 address. What was previously there? IPv4, okay. VPN 10 interface IPv4 address. This is correct. IPv4 address. Okay, this was the VPN 0 next hop, guys. So next hop is going to be this one, 8.1.1.1. So this is going to be, let's copy this so that we can paste it in the next column. This is 8. VPN 0 next hop IP address 8.1.1.1. IPv4 address of VPN interface is going to be this one. And then we have some other by the way, you can fill all these value using Excel sheet also, right? By uploading it here in a specific format. So host name is this one. Anyhow, copy, paste. System IP is going to be same, which is this one. And site ID is going to be 100. Correct? So let's compare. Let's see the value again. Site ID is correct. System IP is correct. Hostname is correct. IPv4 address for my transport is correct. 8.1.1.2. Next hop is correct. 8.1.1.1. But here I need to define the subnet also, right? So here you go. 8.1.1.2/24. Address in VPN 0 for the next hop 8.1.1.1. IPv4 address for management is correct. IPv4 address for VPN 10 is correct. This is cool, right? Let's do the next. And it is saying configuration will be applied to one device, attached to one device template. Okay, this is good. Let's see. Let's see the configuration preview, what it generates. Okay, so guys, here in config preview, this is the one. This is the configuration which is eventually pushed towards your device, right? And if you could see that we have correct host name configured, system IP, everything is the organization name, then time is also correct. VBond IP address is correct, which we haven't defined, but it has already taken from the previous configuration on the device. And then we have VPN 0 configured here, right? And if you can see, it is allowing the NTP. We have correct IP route. We have VPN 10 configuration, which is going to be pushed as a new configuration here. And then we have VPN 512. So everything is looking good till now. And here, if you can see in config diff, right? So you will see what are the difference from the original configurations. It shows the differences because here you can see the NTP, and then whatever the difference you can see here, right? Here you can see this configuration is going to be pushed here, and previously this configuration for VPN 512 was this. Now the configuration for 512 is this one. Okay. And here I believe I made a mistake. So it is not interface eth 0/0. So there is nothing called eth 0/0. It should be eth 0. So let me go back and change it again. So the problem is I need to fill all the values again. So let me pause the video and let me come back to this point again. So guys, I have just made few corrections in the template. For example, I haven't configured the server. I have configured the server as 9.1.1.1 by mistake. So now it is 9.9.9.1 because in my topology, the NTP server is 9.9.9.1. And apart from this, I have made this change also. Previously it was eth 0/0, but the interface name in this platform is eth 0 only. Otherwise, this configuration would have been failed, right? When we pushed it to the device. So if I tell you what are the exact differences, right, between the current configuration and the configuration which already exists on the device, you can see that this username configuration is not going to be there. That is fine. NTP server is correct and 9.9.9. And it doesn't matter if we have defined VPN 0 or not because this is default version 4 and VPN 0 in NTP. So if you could see the interface description which I already have on the device is I capital and T capital, but here I have the change in description also. Apart from that, IP address is going to be same, and then you could see that I have the correct route also which is required. Then this configuration is totally new, right? This configuration is totally new, which is the VPN 10 configuration. And again, I have changed the name of the management to this thing, and IP address, I have also configured the IP address, right? So the final configuration which is going to be pushed on this device is going to be this one, right? So this is good. So if you could see that it has already taken the VBond configuration from the device where we have already configured this, and similarly the organization name and everything else, right? So let's push it. Let's do a configure device. So it is scheduled, and we should see after some time a success. And if you can see that here in the task list, we could see that push feature template configuration is in the process right now, right? Let's see what happened next. So right now it is showing the validation success, Means whatever the parameters I have given here are validated by vmanage, and now the configuration now the configuration has been pushed, is being pushed to the devices, right? So now, as you can see that we have resulted into success, it means that the configuration has been pushed to the device, and the device now will be in vmanage mode. So if I show you some other parameters also for this template, it is saying that this device template has one device attached, and which one is this device is? It is site1 vh1, which is correct, right? And now the template status is also in sync. So if you just have a look at uh, actual device configuration, what has changed? So first of all, let's see whether we have VPN 10 configuration or not. Yeah, show running configuration, VPN 10, and sure enough, we have VPN 10 configuration, which we have pushed from using this template, right? And for other VPNs, uh, the simple difference was that I have made it small in internet transport INT. So you can see the configuration has been pushed on this device, and now this device is in vmanage mode. So if you try to do some configuration changes here, it will throw an error that this device is managed by vmanage now. Okay, so this is good. So now let's check whether we are able to ping. So if I go to the topology page, so what we have done is we have configured, just wait a minute, let's show you using the pen. So here we have configured 10.1.1.1, right? Let me write it again. It's not pretty clear. So here we have write 10.1.1.1, right? So I'm not sure what's happening with the pen itself. So let's try to do it. Hmm, it's here I have configured 10.1.1.1. Yes, so it's correct this time. /24. And here I have configured an IP address in the same subnet. So I should be able to ping from this laptop to this gateway, right? So let's open this laptop. Let's open this laptop for now. Okay, so this is site1 user1. And let me see what is the IP address configured here. Show IP interface brief. Actually, guys, this is a router, so I have just changed the image to a laptop, right? So I have configured the IP address in the same range here, right? And let's check whether I have an IP route configured or not. Show run include route. And yes, I have configured the default route here, and the default route is my VH, right, for this laptop. So let's ping 10.1.1.1. It should resolve an ARP. Yes, and I am able to ping it successfully. So this is good, guys. This is what I want to do from this activity. But now let's push the same configuration to VH2 here. And as you can see, site to VH2, so let's check here, site to VH1 password. Right now, if you see show run VPN 512, we do not have it here. Sorry, VPN 10. We don't have it here. And let's configure this from the templates. So let's go again to vmanage, and here we are in device template. Let's do attach devices. This is already attached to VH1 inside 1. Let's attach to VH1 inside 2. Here, attach. Let's define the IP addressing. Here, if you see in EVNG topology, here the IP address is going to be 10.1.2.1 for this, right? 10.1.2.1/24. Then IPv4 address in VPN 512 is going to be 10.29.203.11/24. And then we have next hop in VPN 0, which is going to be 8.1.2.1, right? So it is going to be 8.1.2.1. This is correct. And I will copy this for the interface configuration. That was the next hop, guys, right? It is going to be 8.1.2.2/24. And if you see here, the host name is going to be site2 VH1. And system IP is going to be this one. Site ID this time is going to be 200, right? Not 100. So this is good. Let's compare once again. 200 system IP is correct, site ID is correct, site2 VH1. IPv4 site address is correct. It is going to be 8.1.2.2. 8.1.2.1 is the gateway for the VPN 0. Management is correct. And then we have correct IPv4 address in VPN 10, right? So let's do the next. Let's see the configuration preview first. What is going to be pushed? Site ID 200. This is good. Everything is good here. Nice. And let's see what are the differences, if we can see any flags here. So everything is correct. 9.9.9.1. We are good with respect to okay. So we made a mistake. Actually, the IP address should be 8.2.1.2, right? It should be this one. If you go to Eve topology, this is interesting. I have made a mistake here in this topology itself, right? It should be actually 8.2. So the good point to check here is this internet router, right? Let's see what is it. It has configured at its default gateway. So show IP interface brief, and sure enough, it is going to be 8.2.1.1. So let me change here also. It is 8. So I have changed this value to 8.2.1.0/24. It means that the transport side of VH1 at site 2 will be 8.2.1.2, And definitely the gateway is going to be 8.2.1.1. So let's check it. Let's make it correct. Let's go to back and do these value changes here. So now we have 8.2.1.1 is the address of VPN next hop, VPN 0 next hop, and 8.2.1.2 is the IP address 8.1.2.2, sorry, 8.2.1.2 is the IP address for VPN 0 transport interface, right? Let's do the next. Check the configuration differences. We are good till this point. Now, not sure why it is showing that it is 8.1.2.2, right? Because we have changed the configuration here. So if you see 8.2.1, okay, maybe my bad. 8.2.1.2. Next. Okay, I know the problem. Actually, I haven't defined /24 there, right? /24. Let's see now. We manage server experience and unexpected error. And okay, let me try to figure it out, guys. What's there? Yeah, so there was some issue with respect to my vmanage, and now it is gone. So let's see what is the configuration difference now. So if you see now the IP address is correct. I have correct IP route also. NDP is correct. Everything is in sync with what I wanted to configure, right? So let's do and configure devices. Now it is again saying in progress, and validation success is already there. So let's wait for a minute until it push the configuration to site2 VH2. And yes, we can see that basically now, the configuration is pushed to the edge device. Let's check on the edge device itself. So here we have site2 VH1. Previously, as you would have noticed, that there is no VPN 10 related configuration. And if I do it now, here we go, right? So if you see the topology, uh, this guy, site2 user 2 should be able to ping the default gateway. It's default gateway, right? Enable show IP interface brief. Yes, so IP address should be 10.2.1.1. Should resolve the IP. And I believe there is the same problem, right? Of IP addressing. So here, if you can see, I have configured the IP address as 10.1.2.1, right? It should be 10.2.1.1, 10.2.1.1. So let me correct it using the templates once again. I just need to change the value, and that is it. So it is worthwhile to check that where you can change these values if you uh, put it wrong. So here is the configuration, right? Change device values. Here is the option. So we have a wrong value configured at site to VH1. So let's edit this value. Here you go. So the wrong value is here, right? Instead of 10.1.2.1, it should be 10.2.1.1. Correct? Update. So if you see the topology also, I have changed this value 10.2.1.0, and it is the requirement from this side also, right? From site to user 2, we have configured 10.2.1.10, and that's why we need to configure 10.2.1.1 there. So this is correct now. Let's go to Cisco vManage. Now we need to do next, configure devices, and I confirm. So it is going to take some time. Let's wait for it. So now, as you can see, we are successfully able to push configuration to the devices. Now let's check whether we got the right configuration this time. Let's do this once again. And sure enough, we have changed this value, right? So my site to user 2 should be able to ping the VEdge service side interface. And it is. Now there is a test. Can I ping from site 1 user 1 to site 2 user 2? So what I'm saying is, can I ping from this guy to this guy, right? Uh, whatever we have discussed till yet is that once everything is up and running, this VH should make a tunnel, which is IPsec tunnel, right? And over this IPsec tunnel, we should see that site 1 should be able to reach site 2 without any issues. It means that in VH1, we should see the route towards site 2, right? So we should see 10.2.1.0/24 should be installed in VPN 10 here, and vice versa, right? Here we should see 10.1.1.0/24 as OMP route. Correct? So let's try to ping. Okay, so what we are going to do is, now we are going to test whether we have data plane reachability from site 1 to site 2. Okay, let's try to ping from here. So here you go. 10.2.1.10, I am pinging from site 1 user 1, and sure enough, you can see that we have connectivity. So now this is high time to check whether we have PFD tunnels enabled, where we have IPsec connections between these two sites. Okay, and before that, let's see whether we have BFD or data path between site ID 100 to site ID 200. Right. Let's go to vManage and let's clear it first. So if I show you in the main dashboard that we have full WAN connectivity of two sites, right? And one another great diagram, if I want to see it, just go to devices and just see here, device bring up. So it will show you the data plane connectivity established. Everything is good with respect to the control plane and data plane connectivity. This is good. So we will be examining now what are the various tunnels which have formed between these two sites. There should be an IPsec tunnel between site 1 to site 2, and we should always be able to see that whether we have a route in VPN 10 or not. Okay, let's check that. So let's see the routes in VPN 10. So show IP route, and we are in site 1 VH1. Show IP route. So we should see the route towards site 2, right? Show IP route VPN 10. And yes, absolutely, if you can see that we have an OMP route, right, in VPN 10. That is why we are able to ping this. Correct?